diversity, inclusion, and belonging has been on my mind quite a bit. And I know, Greg, this is something that you care about a lot, but how have you personally, how has the business tried to advance DEI goals over over the duration of the company? I know you've cared about this since starting CampusLogic.
Yeah, when we had 20 employees or so early on, I thought, it was like 18 guys and Sasha and one other person, or like something like that. Like it was, and we didn't have a bro, like a typical bro culture, but it was a lot of dudes. And so, and in fact, a lot of white guys, like, to be honest. And part of that is probably a little bit geographically where we live, but I would say that it occurred to me then that, hey, we need to do a way better job to just create a more interesting place. I do believe if you pursue diversity, equity, inclusion, I'll say diversity in particular, because you think it's the right thing to do, it's hard to sustain something that you think is the right thing to do, because not everybody thinks it's the right thing to do. If it's the right business thing to do, and it's going to drive the right business metric, and people really believe that, that's sustainable. And so it is the right thing to do. But one of the reasons it's the right thing to do, and I'm talking about diversity here, is the different perspectives you can bring to problem solving, you'll just solve problems faster. I mean, this has been replicated in study after study. And so if you want to create more shareholder value for your investors, for you, for your employees, you want to create more value for your customers and build products that reflect, that solve problems for them and their customers, you need to have really diverse perspectives to do that. So it's a business strategy tool to drive diversity. So I was really focused on gender equity several years ago, and I'll say gender diversity, followed by gender equity, to constantly look at comp and opportunities. So, and I was really proud of the fact that half of our executive team is female, about 60% of our overall leadership team is female, and about 45% of the overall company is female, which for a software company is really, really remarkable. However, there are a lot of events that happen in your life that make you wonder, make you rethink things. So I don't think that I've been very thoughtful about this in the last couple of years. George Floyd's killing has had a particular impact on everybody. I'm not unique there, but it's made me rethink, hey, how are we showing up for our Black employees versus our white employees, and how are we doing? Like, we're pretty underrepresented on Hispanic employees, and so we've tried to be more intentional, and some of that's been pre-George Floyd, but probably accelerated since George Floyd's killing. But tried to be more intentional about our employer branding. I think we still have some more work to do there. But that's been a little bit of the evolution about how I've been thinking about this. And by the way, the Me Too movement was a big part of our conversation a few years ago, right? And so some of the gender equity conversations were influenced by that. So some of these societal events, I want to change. I want these things to change my own heart and my own mind, and by extension, the company. And so I'm thankful for, the positive impact some of these negative societal things have had on me and the company. I do think it's helpful to think about diversity, equity, and inclusion as distinct things. It's easy to blend those together as one word, but diversity is sort of like, you can think of diversity, I think, as how diverse are we? That's sort of a quantitative measure. Like, you could have high diversity and crappy inclusion, really, right? So we've got a diverse employee set, but nobody feels included. They don't have a sense of belonging. They don't feel like I belong here. So you need to look at diversity as am I bringing in diverse thought and opinion and experience into the company? And equity, am I providing equal opportunity and equal access to all of my diverse population? And then an inclusion is how people feel. And so measuring each of those things, how diverse am I, how equitable am I, and how inclusive am I think can really be and then creating the conversation internally around those three things. It really has provided a better framework for me than just blending all these things together, because they are discrete concepts and you can be good at one and not good at another. And your work in this area is never done. I mean, that's the thing as a leader you have to recognize, is that nobody ever says, we're just too diverse. We're just too inclusive. We got too much equity going on. Nobody ever says that. And so you just have to recognize that if it's not part of the conversation on a regular basis, something's probably not right, and you're never going to feel like you're too successful in that area.